Hi there, I'm Chef Eric Crowley, owner of the Culinary Classroom in West Los Angeles, and today I'm going to show you how to poach eggs for a large crowd, as many as 4 or even more. Where we're going to start off with a set of 4 eggs to poach that you can easily serve 4 people, or you could easily double this or triple this. The key to poaching is to have a pot of water at a bare, what the French call a shimmer. You can actually see inside this pot right here, if I tilt it a little bit, we're starting to get a little bit of bubbling coming up from the center of the pot. So I'm going to adjust my flame downward slightly, and I want to maintain just a nice cloud of steam coming up from the water. And I really want to have minimal bubbling, and a lot of recipes and a lot of techniques would say no bubbling at all. So I'm going to lower this down and get that bubbling to stop. We're going to wind up adding in about a teaspoon of vinegar for every quart of water, just plain white vinegar. I'm going to take a slotted spoon and stir the water around in a clockwise motion. Really helpful to have your eggs cracked out of the shell and into a cup like these ramekins. Going to take the eggs and start to pour them into the water. You want to try and pour them in as rapid succession as possible so they all cook evenly. Then you also want to keep an eye on the water. You want to make sure that you don't have any real big vigorous bubbling. A couple of maybe just very stray, slight little bubbles like we have going here is fine. But if you can get the heat even lower than that to where the eggs are basically just simmering and sitting in barely shimmering water is really ideal. I'm going to lower that flame just a touch more. And I can get in with the slotted spoon and just gently move the eggs around, and you'll see by spinning the water, a majority of the white, like on this egg for example, is wrapped around the yolk. We have a trail of white that's sitting up here on top of the water. That's absolutely fine. We're actually going to trim that away in a few moments. And to get the eggs to the consistency that is very common for poaching, we're looking for them to sit in the water for about 3, maybe even 4 minutes, to where when you wind up cutting into the egg, you're going to have a set layer of yolk inside the white, and then you're going to have a little bit of runny yolk on the inside. And if you want it really super runny, then you're going to let them sit in the water for 2 minutes. If you want them really firm, 5 minutes. Keep an eye on the water. Don't walk away from it when you're doing this at home. Also, as far as preparing for a large crowd, something else that's really essential is a container that's got some ice water in it. And this is going to stop the cooking of the egg and allow you to be able to do this a day before you want to serve the poached eggs. Very common technique in a restaurant. After the eggs wind up coming out of the hot water, we're going to shock them in ice water. And when they're cool enough to handle, we're going to lift them on out of the ice water, drain them on some toweling. And at that point, any of these strands of white that are floating up on the water that are going to be trailing the egg, we're going to trim off. You can then take the egg at that point and drain it really well on the toweling, get it into the refrigerator, get it into a Tupperware or a cup with a lid, something like that, and it'll stay in the refrigerator for 24 hours. So you can do this a day ahead of time. Let's go ahead and let's check our first egg. I'm going to go ahead and gently lift out the egg with a slotted spoon. I want to give this a little press with my finger. The egg is definitely at the point to where if I was going to serve this and we cut into it, almost the entire yolk would be runny. Some people like that, some people don't. So we're going to go ahead and let it cook for a little bit longer. Now we're starting to get the firmness that I like. Once you have a firm feel to it, but it still has a little bit of sponginess on the inside. Let's spin them around and see what we can get here. Yes, okay. Gonna take the egg out of the water and get it into some ice water to shock it, as we call it in the restaurant. Stop the cooking. When it comes to reheating eggs for a large crowd, you have them in the refrigerator, they've been drained out of the ice water, they're patted dry with some paper toweling. Bring them on out, let them come up to room temperature, say give them 30 minutes. That'll be fine. Get another pot of water on the stove like this, just a nice bare shimmer, and go ahead and slide the eggs into the water and let them sit in the water for about 30 seconds, maybe 45, and that's it. They're going to be nicely reheated without cooking them further, and you can go ahead and drain them again on some paper toweling and serve them up. You could either serve them up as is on a plate, or you can serve them up on top of an English muffin, making an eggs Benedict with a little bit of hollandaise sauce. All kinds of things you can do. Thanks again for watching. Be sure to subscribe so you can get some additional information. If there's a recipe that you would like to see me make, feel free to send an email to requests@Mahalodotcom. Thanks again, and I'll see you soon.